Become willing to be one who cultivates the ability to allow all things. For the mind that is free can do this. The mind that is imprisoned cannot. For the mind that is imprisoned is so because it insists that what it perceives should become different in itself, and that the perceiver need not change. And that is the very essence of imprisonment. Allowance is the dissolution of fear. Allowance is transformation. Hello friends, in this video I'm going to be going over lesson 9 in the Way of Transformation. And this is book 2 of the Way of Mastery. These books are Jayem or JON MARC HAMMER channeling Yeshua ben Joseph or Jesus. And these books contain the same messages of A Course in Miracles, but are much more approachable, much easier to read. More digestible in my opinion. And this lesson, lesson 9, is about allowance. But before we get to that, he goes over an exercise. And each lesson is meant to be read or heard each month out of a year. So this exercise is meant to be done over the next 30 days. The first step of the exercise is to write down the following statements and to put each statement on its own piece of paper at the top of that piece of paper. It is not possible for you to be without love. It is not possible for you to be alone. It is not possible for you to taste death. It is not possible for you to taste genuine loss. It is not possible for you to suffer the dream of separation. It is not possible for you to be apart from your Creator. It is not possible for you to fail. It is not possible for you to harm anyone or anything. It is not possible for you to be guilty of sin. Begin a process in which for 1 week you will abide with each of the statements just made. And what do we mean by that? We mean that as often as you choose, through desire, to set aside time to do so, merely abide with the statement, and then watch what comes up in the mind and write it down. What you will discover are many pictures, many ideas, even certain feelings that seem to indicate to you that the statement must not entirely be true. This is a way, then, for you to deepen your ability to observe what is actually occurring within the field of your own mind. It is a way to enter into a deliberate purification. And then he goes into the main idea of this lesson, which is allowance. And this is that third key, that third stage in the 4 stages of reaching enlightenment, the path to enlightenment, as he shared in a previous lesson. The first being desire, the second being intention, the third being allowance. And he says allowance is so important because it's really the same as forgiveness. One who cultivates the ability to allow, then, is cultivating in truth the very act of forgiveness. It is releasing the world from its insistence that its perceptions be held as right. It is releasing from itself the need to hold on to its perceptions. Therefore, allow all things, trust all the things, and thereby embrace and transcend all things. And he says allowance follows on the heels of desire, because as you desire the kingdom, you must allow your perceptions to dissolve, to go away, because really the world that you thought was the world was merely your perceptions. So in order to perceive the truth, you must allow. You must let things be as they are. So you must allow your perceptions to be changed by the Comforter, as he says, or the Father or Spirit or your higher mind. You must allow it to change them for you. Because as he says, of myself I do nothing. The Christ does the work. The higher mind does the work. So you must allow so that work can be done to heal and change your perceptions. Allowance is really trusting Spirit, trusting the higher mind, trusting the true self. Allowance is a process of letting go. Allowance is freedom from all circumstances. We are already that one within everything. I and my Father are one. We are already one with this love-light consciousness. Therefore, what must we do? We must let go. We must allow the truth to emerge. Because really all we've done is resist it and create illusions over it. What do you let go of? The habit of the need to be right. The habit of the need to perceive that the world is a fearful place. The habit of perceiving that you are in lack. The habit of perceiving that Christ must be far from you. Anything that is unlike the kingdom of heaven is a habit well worth releasing by allowing it to be dissolved from your mind. And allowance ultimately is the same as forgiveness. And forgiveness and allowance is crucial, because forgiveness and allowance is the opposite of judging. And when you judge, you are literally choosing to not abide in the kingdom. In other words, to not abide in the awareness and realization that all is one, that the Creator is within everything, that everything truly is love light, that you are truly already in paradise, that you are paradise. And when you judge, you choose to step out of that. You kick yourself out. Allowance is realizing that it's really only your perceptions that have caused suffering to you, and that really no one has ever done anything to you. It has only been your own perceptions. Remember then that always forgiveness is essential. It is necessary for the atonement. Forgiveness is another word for allowance. We speak here not of a blind passivity, but of a relinquishment within one's own mind, and that is all. It is a willingness to see the complete neutrality of all events. It is a willingness to let the Comforter remind you that separation does not exist, that you cannot possibly make yourself guilty of sin and all the rest. Forgiveness is a relinquishment of what you have decided is true about the world. It is, then, very much a self-centered practice. Of yourself, you cannot forgive your brother or sister for anything, because, in reality, they've done nothing. Forgiveness is forgiveness of oneself for insisting on replacing reality with your own version of it. This is a really important point. And speaking from personal experience, I've really struggled with realizing this. I think this is hard for most to realize, that forgiveness is really forgiving your own perceptions of a person. It may be very disorienting at first. You're like, how can this be? This person did something so-called wrong. They caused harm. How is it my fault? It helps me in thinking that really it is all a dream. And if you want to awaken, if you want to see the truth, you must see through those actions and see really that it's all one. That brother or sister is also the love light, is the one true self. But in that moment, it's just acting out of insanity. It's just in a nightmare. It's just dreaming. And it is recognizing that you too are in a dream, so that you must forgive to awaken from the dream, because only then do you see everything as it truly is. You stop projecting perceptions onto things, onto people. So it's really never forgiving anyone else. As he says, you can't really do that. It's forgiving yourself for thinking that other people were actual other people, that they were these certain characters, and seeing them other than Christ, God, Creator, love light. So it's forgiving yourself for misperceiving them, and thereby misperceiving yourself. As you come truly to forgive yourself for every perception you have ever held about anyone or anything, you will come to discover that it means relinquishing perceptions of yourself as well. For you cannot awaken fully unless you include yourself in the circle of your forgiveness. And ultimately, of course, you come to see that the very practice of allowance is really the act of allowing yourself to be truly the self that you are. You will no longer resist the process of purification by whatever means the Comforter uses for you. It simply doesn't matter anymore. Why resist it? All I want is God. Then he shares a cool idea of that once you commit to this path to awakening, all of creation will conspire to help you. They will bring you the perfect experiences to expedite that awakening. Once your desire begins, it becomes the kingdom. The end of the journey is perfectly certain. School is out. That which the ego is cannot last. For the very universe, creation, the world around you will conspire, which simply means to breathe together. All things will conspire together under the hand of the Holy Spirit to create precisely what you require to be set completely free of all illusion. And secretly, you will have already agreed with the Comforter that it will be this way. And then he gives a suggestion, some advice, to establish a close relationship with this higher self, with your higher mind, with the Father, with Spirit, with the Mother, whatever you wish to call it. Establish a relationship and communicate with it within you, just as he did. Commune with it always and have it be your guidance system. Always ask it, always turn to it for every decision. Let its will work through you. I highly recommend that you establish a relationship with the Comforter as though it were a relationship with a good friend, indeed the best of friends, until you reach a point in which virtually every decision is given to that mind. Well, old buddy, should I turn left or right? And you relinquish ownership of your life. It is only the ego that thinks it can possess life. Spirit knows that life possesses it. That is, life has birthed you, The mind of God has given rise to you. You are God's. You are not the owner of life. You are the recipient of it. There's an observation in Gary Renard's books, The Disappearance of the Universe and Your Immortal Reality, and observations from the angels that visited him in those books that said, Jesus was so powerful. Jeshua was so amazing, such a master, because he completely relied on God, on the Father. He completely emptied himself and heard only that will, only that voice. And here, that is what he is suggesting to us, to establish such a close relationship with it that we listen to only that. And then he goes on to encourage us over the next 30 days to do this exercise, to practice, and to realize that allowance is accepting the truth that in this physical dimension, the only constant is change. Everything is constantly changing. So you must let go, you must allow. It is the awareness, it is the spirit that pervades everything that is changeless. It is the awareness within you that is changeless. It is the changeless awareness allowing the physical dimension to change. And he gives some examples. It's raining, you're walking home and it starts raining, allow it. I allow this rain to happen. All of a sudden you get cold, I allow this. Just simple examples like that he gives. And catch yourself if you start getting upset, if you start resisting something that changed or some circumstance, some outer event. Catch yourself and say, I allow this. Learning is necessary in the field of perception, and you have placed yourself within that field. So why not get on with it and let perception be healed? It is healed by bringing the power of observation to what is in front of you. Not in front of the body, but right in the field of awareness itself. And that is why you should be dancing in your shoes at all times. My goodness, I don't have to go anywhere. It's right here in front of me. This ordinary moment provides the doorway to the transformation of consciousness itself. All I have to do is bring a little willingness to it. And guess what? I have all power under heaven and earth to do just that. Nobody can take it from me. Nobody can change the freedom in which I live. And then he gives a really nice, simple definition or explanation of spirituality. Spirituality is merely a process of seeing things differently. And that is an active decision, born of desire, coupled with the little willingness called allowance. The decision to recognize that each moment is like a jewel presented on a golden plate to you, God's child. You are the one who has the freedom always and literally creates or makes your experience. He shares that all suffering literally is resistance. The opposite of resistance is allowance. This is why allowance is so important. All suffering is the resistance of reality. All awakening and healing is the letting go of resistance, forgiveness, allowance. God is already here, and I am forever God's. I surrender. Surrender is the fruit of allowance. Surrender is the fruit of forgiveness. Surrender is the same as the atonement. Remember that resistance is the ego, embracing is of Christ, and the one that allows all things has already transcended all things. All these lessons, all these books are available free online at womlibrary.com. The website also has the original audio of the channelings. If you like this one, check out the next one, Lesson 10. Thank you.